How can we, as individuals, help to create a truly global community? The missing piece is connections. My desire to connect began with a circuitous path to bilingualism, which started at birth. I was born nearly 3 months premature and weighed only 2 pounds. One of the many complications with premature babies is brain bleeds, which I experienced as a newborn in the NICU. Although the brain bleed resolved, my parents were immediately concerned as they queried neonatologists about my developing brain. One doctor recommended immersion exposure to a foreign language, with an emphasis on the foreign language being as different as possible from what would be my native language of English. As the doctor explained, the theory was that immersion exposure to a foreign language would help to establish more neurological pathways in my brain, which would then help to facilitate the overall process of learning. It was at this early stage that my life took an unexpected trajectory. I was enrolled in an immersive school at the age of 2, where I began learning Mandarin. This continued throughout my elementary education. As with many experiences, becoming fluent in Mandarin was a challenge at times. In my early years, I began to speak what is known as Chinglish, a combination of Chinese and English, leaving my parents to decipher what I was saying from what I was meaning. Ultimately, being fully immersed into another language at such a young age was an interesting journey. In the 4th and 5th grades, my school offered exchange trips to China and Taiwan. I had the opportunity to visit Shanghai, Hangzhou, Taipei, and other smaller cities. I stayed with host families where I was able to make the most meaningful connections that I still enjoy to this day. I was able to see how children my age lived on the other side of the world, experiencing a completely different culture. After 8th grade, language acquisition gave me further opportunities to travel to China in the capacity of a translator. Students from San Francisco State Film School were shooting documentaries for the first time in both ancient Chinese villages and modern Chinese cities. I assisted the film students by providing translation services during street interviews with locals. However, the most meaningful and fun contribution was earning film credits for providing subtitles on 2 documentaries. This trip provided many new experiences, not just related to using Mandarin, but about learning the process of filmmaking as well. I participated in another exchange program to Beijing and Chengdu, which offered more experiences, connections, and opportunities to put my Chinese skill to work. Learning Mandarin has provided me with opportunities that continue to enrich my life in ways I never could have imagined. Taking on the challenge of learning a new language, or even learning about another culture, can be daunting, especially when starting later, but it comes with many benefits and opportunities. Being culturally aware is something that people often take for granted or remain unaware of. If one chooses to expose themselves to a new language and culture, it can be very rewarding. I would even say that not exposing yourself to other languages and cultures can be disadvantageous. Quite literally, there is a whole world of cultures to explore over a lifetime that is diverse, authentic, and beautiful. I've had unforgettable experiences with people all across the globe that I would cherish for the rest of my life. I was nervous at first, especially being 10 years old on my first exchange trip. But my host family in Hangzhou, China, welcomed me with open arms. They treated me as one of their own. My host family brought me to different museums and tourist spots to learn about the local culture and history. I went to school with my host partner and had an amazing time meeting her friends and experiencing school in an entirely different setting. I was intimidated at first by such a new environment, but I found that our shared curiosity gave us many opportunities to connect and bond. I learned more every day about life in China, and in turn, the Chinese students asked me about my family, my school, my friends at home, and even my hair and clothes. The first connection I made with my host partner, however, didn't involve food, clothes, or hair, but it was the Diary of a Wimpy Kid comic series. She had a collection of the English and Chinese versions, and as 10-year-old girls, we connected instantly over how much we loved this comic book series. We thought we would have to go to great lengths to make any sort of connections, especially coming from such different backgrounds. but we bonded effortlessly over the most unexpected topics. Similar to my experience, you may find yourself connecting to other cultures in ways you never would have anticipated or imagined. If accessible, traveling is a great way to see and be a guest of new cultures. By traveling and learning about other cultures, you start to experience details big and small about a region of the world you never knew existed. Each and every one of these details, whether it be delicious food, exchanges between people, modes of transportation, a shared religion, or something else, are part of what makes places so different from each other, and what makes traveling to see these places entirely worth it. Not just that, but interacting with people from other places, even if you have to struggle through a language barrier, gives insight into how others live their lives in an environment that is different from yours. Not attempting to at least find out about other cultures would instead make you culturally isolated, confined to one way of life. You truly don't know what you're missing out on if you choose to stay immersed in only one culture. Another disadvantage of not gaining cultural awareness is in the professional environment. In the job market, people often pursue ways to make themselves stand out and be ahead. Many employers, especially employers who work in especially employers and companies that do work internationally, often prefer to hire or even require individuals who can speak another language. Some states, especially California, have a high demand for bilingual workers. According to the New American Economy, despite being home to 12.4% of the overall U.S. working age population, California accounted for 19.4% of all job ads seeking bilingual workers. Being bilingual or multilingual is not only wanted by employers, but it can also lead to a more fulfilling experience for you too. For one, you can increase your chances of being hired. As the number of applicants increases, the number of available positions decreases, and employers look for certain qualities that set candidates apart from others. Being bilingual or multilingual is not only impressive up front, but also demonstrates a strong work ethic that any employer would be drawn to. Being bilingual also leads to an increased salary. In fact, the Bilingual Services Act, established in 1973, has a procedure outlined for the hire of multilingual versus non-multilingual job candidates, in which if an individual becomes certified in their multilingualism, they are legally required to receive a higher salary. Multilingualism also opens the door to a wide range of job opportunities that would not be available to you otherwise. If working in human resources, public relations, or marketing is an interest of yours, learning other languages would be very useful. Foreign operations are also more likely to hire you, and international organizations like the United Nations look specifically for people who can speak several languages. Finally, and most importantly, you can bridge cultural gaps. There is great value in breaking language barriers. Being able to relate to people from a different cultural background carries significance, and being aware of manners, etiquette, and customs foreign to you can go a long way. One of the most interesting and technical advantages of multilingualism is from a standpoint of brain development. Executive function, focus, processing, and more conditions are all improved by expanding your brain capacity and learning another language. Executive function describes the skills that allow you to control, direct, and manage your attention, as well as planning skills, focus skills, and organizational skills. A bilingual person has mastery of 2 languages, and these languages are activated both automatically and subconsciously, meaning the person is constantly managing the interference of languages so they don't say the wrong word in the wrong language at the wrong time. The brain areas used for executive functions are also responsible for task completions with distractions present. In certain cases like mine as well, learning a second language from a young age can prove to be even more beneficial. At a young age, the interference and differentiation between 2 languages force the brain to resolve internal conflict, giving the mind a sort of workout that strengthens its cognitive muscles. From a neurological perspective, Multilingualism significantly increases your overall productivity. Not attempting to invest time in understanding other cultures can make you culturally isolated, confined to a single way of thinking. It's never too late to make a new connection. I was recently moved by the images of the Afghanistan people desperately leaving their country to become refugees in America. I've downloaded a Farsi app on my phone and have committed to learning a phrase a week. I look forward to using my new skills to establish a connection with refugees in my local community. I want to ensure that the local refugees feel welcome, comfortable, and cared for in a new environment. Meaningful connections with people bring us together and further globalize our world. There are so many cultures in the world that are intricate, historic, impactful, and beautiful that can give us new perspectives on how we view things familiar to us. Breaking down language barriers makes the world we live in more interconnected, globalized, and fulfilling. Given so many benefits from multilingualism, I hope I've inspired you to learn other languages as well, or at least learn about other cultures. Becoming more culturally aware opens doors to opportunities, connections, and experiences you otherwise would have missed out on. From unforgettable experiences on exchange trips to increased job opportunities, multilingualism is something that our world needs more of to help us bridge cultural gaps and make meaningful connections that will lead to a truly global community. Thank you.